fans. I'm Leslie Conwell with the Tippecanoe County Historical Association, and we're here on Casual Fridays at the Conwell farmstead. We wanted to pick up on our discussion about how you can get into museum facilities and library and archives and do so in a professional way and forge better relationships with the museum community. We left off talking about remembering that you are a guest and understanding museum etiquette. That is really, really important. The next thing is you want to try to be familiar before you go in with proper artifact and archive handling techniques. You can see that I've got the typical museum lady Mickey Mouse gloves on, and those are used quite a bit, but other times no, because some items might be fragile or delicate. But you know, it's okay to ask. If you don't know how to properly handle something, ask. And I bet that museum curator will be so thrilled that you ask, because that tells him or her that you have the welfare of the artifact or the document in mind. You want to be aware of not bringing any food in. For me, it's everybody knows I love Hershey bars, so I have to keep those, someplace else. But be aware of that. You do not want to touch or handle artifacts or archival material without permission. I know if I saw like a really cool piece of paste stone jewelry, I'd want to pick it up. But always ask first. Don't take photos or sketch without permission, because some of these artifacts may be not online and they may be a little sensitive about having those drawn or have photos taken. This is something I see. You want to be professional, but it's okay to get excited and to enjoy what it is you're looking at. The best example I can think of is the late, great Chuck Leonard, the silversmith, when he came to see the Wiatnon artifacts. He was so awed by the silver and the paste stone jewelry that he and Rick and I just stood around grinning at each other because it was beautiful. So it's okay to be excited about what you see. But don't get so Twitter-pated that you drop what you're handling. So just be careful, but it's perfectly all right to enjoy what you're seeing. Do offer to volunteer to help improve those facilities or the collections with skills and labor that you can do, or offer free time. This is a valuable commodity to museums. You can offer to send copies of what you've done, research papers, other links they might not be familiar with. Here is one of the biggest no-nos I can think of. Do not say, you ought to do that, or why don't you do this, even if you're thinking of it. Because in most cases, museum people know what they should be doing, but either due to a lack of staff, lack of time, lack of money, lack of facilities, and you can really wreck a relationship. Again, be sure that you offer your help. Be cautious of items being sold as from a site or anything online. That's just another thing I'm going to put in there for you. Now, here are some hard to accept things. I certainly don't have all the answers on how to deal with museums and archives. And these are some things I've seen come up over the years. It's hard to deal with an institution whose goals or priorities are different than yours or what you think they should be. I've run into this professionally, run into it in graduate school, but those things are going to happen. The public does not own museum collections in many cases. I've heard people say, well, the county owns that. No. In many cases, museum collections are owned by that museum. Here's a very difficult one, especially for us on this group page. Museum employee reenactor distrust and impoliteness towards one another. Museum people are sometimes very skeptical of reenactors, and reenactors sometimes think they know more than museum employees, and in some cases they're right. But it should be a mutual working experience. It's a two-way street, so be sure that you cultivate good attitude on your part And I think about 99% of the time the museums will really appreciate that and will work with you. Sometimes they may not. It can be very difficult working with closed doors when a museum says no. You've tried to play by the rules. You've done your research. You've gone through all the proper channels. But they might still say no. And that could be difficult. I don't have an answer than that, other than knowing that you did your best. And that's all you can do. Always feel free to ask questions or anything. This group page, the Feast of the Hunter's Moon group page, is an activity for all of us to learn. And we hope that